Hi, everybody, and thank you so much for coming to our week one of the Business Plan Bootcamp. My name is Kathy Roach, and we are extremely lucky to have our affiliate member, Dave Cullen, CFA, owner of Evident Financial here to kick us off and really talk about what a business plan is through introduction, really go through what a statement of purpose is. Oh my gosh, that could be very daunting. I would still be on the table of contents, as well as a description of your business and your location. What's going to happen then is, because next week is Thanksgiving, we're going to skip a week, and then we will go into every Wednesday, except for holidays at Christmas, at 6 o'clock on Wednesdays, either in person or virtually. Hello, everybody. We will be continuing with our business plan bootcamp for 8 weeks. How it's going to work is Dave Cullen is going to be back for the last half hour of every class to answer any questions. So your homework is going to be to work on what he talks about. You may email him and have him look at it in advance, come back with questions when we come back and meet together, and then so on with our speakers. They will be there for subsequent weeks in order to be of service to you. So without further ado, I am going to let Dave Cullen talk to you all about what a business plan is.
Thank you, Kathy. I'm going to stand here, so I don't know if I'm going to be seen face to face, the side of my head, but I think it's going to work just fine. So Kathy, thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here. We are going to kick off week one with the boot camp, and I was asked to present on 3 plan sections. Kathy, if you can
Sure.
do the second one, please.
I'm going to try my darndest. You know what? I'm firing myself.
No, you're a jack of all trades.
You know what? I'm going to fire myself.
That's all right. So let me just start, and we'll catch up with the slide in a moment. So I've been asked to speak about the statement of purpose for your business, company description, and your location. And you may think at the beginning here that location isn't that important to you, but I think you're going to find out whether you're brick and mortar or otherwise that it is. So I'm going to move on, and again, we're going to catch up with the slides. Let me go right to what I think are the 5 top reasons why you need to do a business plan. And I know that in our room here tonight, we have 2 of the attendees here have done business plans. Jeremy, you're really early with your plan. Deanna, you're thinking about it right now, but you're going to be jumping into it. And we also have Brad Gleason, who's been a mentor in business plans forever. So let's go into what I think are the top 5 reasons. Some of these are going to be obvious to you, but in my experience, for myself, I've probably done 6 to 8 business plans. I've helped others do business plans as well. So these are just my 5 top, and I hope this is of interest to you. But the first is the brain dump. You need to pull all your ideas out of your head and get them organized, get them in writing. My tool for that, and each of you are going to have your own way to do it. My tool is just, I like to write. When I write, it just triggers thoughts and creativities, and it allows me to sort of collect my thoughts. So I have notebook after notebook after notebook when I come up with an idea prior to doing a business plan. So just look at it as a freelance brain dump. Be as creative and innovative as you want. Don't worry about what it looks like in margins and all that. Just get it out on paper. The second is, thank you, Kathy, is a reality check. Now think about this. You're drafting your own plan. You may have a co-founder involved in this, but early on where we are right now, it's usually a brain dump by yourselves doing this that you might share later. So at this point is super, super important. You're going to get to this point, Diana, on your business when you're going to ask yourselves, is this a go, no go? So you really need that reality check. Step back from it. Again, this is probably your notes. This probably is not where you've already started writing your business plans. Look at your gaps early. You haven't made the business plan public yet. Now is the time to identify those gaps. Look for your flaws. Test your ideas. Start thinking about proof of concept. And again, asking yourself, can I sell this? Can I make money? What are the costs? Is this flawed enough that it's a no-go? Make sense? New ideas. The third reason I feel that's important to write a business plan is when you're brain dumping, it's going to spark all sorts of creativity. You're going to see new opportunities, and you want to just be flexible. So I found working with others that they may have one idea with what the product might be, the service might be, and they sort of stay in that lane. And I would encourage you not to stay in that lane so structurally and start thinking about new ideas. It'll spark some interest as you do this. So as you see, you're moving from notebooks, freelance thinking, innovation, coming down the funnel to begin to write a plan. Thank you. Your business plan, the fifth reason to write it, is it's your way of having a to-do list, your tasks, your action plans. It's fun at the beginning. You're being passionate, creative, innovative, and having a blast doing this. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing it. But as you come down the importance of a business plan, you have to have action steps. Oftentimes, what I find, especially the creative types, like to stay sort of in the creative zone. And they'd rather be there and maybe work with logos and things like that, the technology, but you really need to get down in your business plan and looking at an action. Make it actionable, make it fluid, nothing left to chance, be intentional. And lastly, the fifth, once your business plan goes public, it's going to be a communication tool for you, okay? It could be getting a second opinion, and that's what I've done. I presented my plan. It looked like a mess, but at least it was organized around a table of contents. I've given my plans to some mentors, those that I thought would not discourage me, but would give me honest answers. They would speak the truth over me. And so getting a second opinion, I would advise everybody to do. It's very healthy. Second, obviously, as you go forward with your plan, you want to look to attract capital, entice partners to join you if you think that's important to you, and attract some talent. You might have a co-founder with you, but at some point you're going to either need other employees, independent contractors, partners, vendors. The way I think about business plans, it starts with a question mark, some sort of curiosity that you have, and I know everybody here is this sort of thing. What's my curiosity? I'm questioning what has been done in the past that I feel can be done better. You might be looking at something that could be a disruption. You might have a passion about a cause of some sort. So it begins with a question, let's just call it curiosity. It sparks an idea. You test it. Again, we're in the confines of what I think the business plan sort of is. You work on it. Can it work? And will it make money for you? What are the economics associated with it? So, pretty quick visual, that's how I feel about business plans. And it really comes down to, and I hope everybody would agree here, and I can see Brad, who's done this a million times, shaking his head, and I might ask him to speak up for a moment. But Brad, and others that have done this, isn't it pretty much, here's a problem I've discovered. Here's a creative solution to it that I think is worthy of a business. Brad, do you want to jump in just for a second? I appreciate it.
Your squiggly lines remind me of dropping Legos, cleaning it up, dropping the Legos again, cleaning it up. You know what the problem is, but to get to that solution is a disorganized mess, not because it's meant to, it's forcing you to refine and constantly recalibrate. So I see that as a mess, like a bunch of Legos, and how you getting to that solution is never a straight path. You got to be ready to go in different directions and just keep recalibrating, reorganizing, replanning. That's what I see from your squiggly line.
Thank you. We're going to see if this works. Can you see if you can get the internet on this?
Oh my God.
What I'm going to do here is I found this, hopefully it'll work.
Sure.
All right, and Kathy says sure. I found this, and I believe it's only about
It's minute 49.
Minute 49, thank you. And it's a short video clip from DuPont. And it wasn't intended to be a commercial as much, and I'm not so sure who the audience was, but when I listened to it, it was a beautiful march of problem, who we are, establishing our expertise, validating the problem, and offering the solution. So Kathy, if I can, if you can start that, and if you could stop it at 18 seconds, please. So listen carefully, because now we're going to hear the problem. So for the first 18 seconds, you'll hear what the problem is.
Okay, and that is because, hold on just a moment.
Take your time. I liked your analogy of the squigglies to the Legos. Don't know how you got there, but that's pretty creative.
Whoops.
The other way around, unfortunately. I was coming up with solutions.
Here we
before I
go.
came up with a problem. That's what Brad was kind of harping on me about how I was writing that out.
Jeremiah, can you speak up and say that again? I missed that. That's a huge, very important point.
Essentially, when I was working through my business plan, the problem that I kept running into is that I was trying to provide solutions before I identified the problems that existed with my value proposition target. So in essence, I was working backwards based off of my software engineering practices, but I had to rework my mind in order to get the problem first and then work towards the solution.
Thank you. Jeremy.
And kind of going off of him, my biggest issue was it's been the same problem for years, but there's really not been a concrete solution for this problem. You know, that's in terms of like teaching like lower income areas financial literacy, because it's the same problem every year now. Okay, we're gonna put money into this low income area, just like these low income areas, but they stay low income. You know, so I'm trying to figure out. Like everyone wants to help this problem, everyone cares about it, but like, what is a true concrete solution to fix it? Because if there was a true solution, there'd be no poverty. There wouldn't be all these big cities with homeless people. So that's what we're really trying to, you know.
Wow, what I like about that, Jeremy, it's there is a problem. You're looking at a solution no one's really brought to market, otherwise it wouldn't be a problem. A big task. Wow, good for you. Love it.
If this were the year 2020, what would you see? You'd see another 500 million people in the world. You'd see most of them moving to big cities. You'd see our planet being pushed close to its tipping point. If this were the year 2020, you'd see exactly what DuPont sees today. After all.
Did everybody hear that? Do you mind, if it's easy, could you do that again?
I would
please?
love to.
Thank you. So again, listen for the problem. Look how well they say the problem in 18 seconds.
If this were the year 2020, what would you see? You'd see another 500 million people in the world. You'd see most of them moving to big cities. You'd see our planet being pushed close to its tipping point. If this were the year 2020, you'd see exactly what DuPont sees today. After all.
Look how they did that. A quick expression of the problem, bridged right into DuPont, we see the same problem as you see. So there's empathy to it. Perfect. 18 seconds. If you would continue. Let me go 1 second here. What you're going to listen to, and then maybe we can, if we're lucky, we can go back and do it again. Go back to the 18 seconds. But what you're going to hear here is now they're substantiating themselves. They're laying themselves out as an expert in this business, and you're going to see them bridge over to the solution. I think we can go all the way through, but I might ask you to go back to 18 and do it. So listen for the validation, listen to the introduction of themselves, and offering a solution.
We're a science company, and science is a futures business. And while we look to that future, our science is transforming the present. We started today's path forward 5 years ago, and we stand exactly where we need to be to meet the science challenges of today and tomorrow. We've divested in some areas and reinvested in others, namely agriculture and nutrition, to provide more nutritious foods, new materials and technologies to perfect renewable sources of energy like advanced biofuels, and advanced materials like strong, lightweight fibers to keep people safe and save energy. The world will increasingly rely on these things tomorrow, which is why we're devoted to them today. We stand more than 60,000 strong, united to apply our unique integration of chemistry, engineering, material science, and biology to arrive at the solutions that humanity needs. Our many patents, scientists and engineers, R&D centers, and state-of-the-art innovation centers are proof that DuPont is the company poised not only for the now, but for what's to come. That's what's behind our higher growth, higher value mission. This isn't 2020, not yet, but we're already seeing the positive change that tomorrow's science is bringing. We're ready for this future. We've had it in our sights for some time now, and in the meantime, we're at work today, proving again and again why DuPont is the world's leading science company.
Kathy, thank you.
Sure. Did you want to go back, Dave?
No, we're good.
Okay, good.
Thanks so much. So it seemed long as we were listening to him, but it was only 1:49. And again, I wish I knew why DuPont did this, but in a way it sounded like a commercial, but it had the same elements of a business plan, didn't it? And boy, did they substantiate themselves as experts in the business. And we heard that one word, unique. So they validated the problem, established themselves as experts in the field, and offered a nice, succinct, minute 49 visual. Okay? Thank you. Kathy.
Oops, sorry. I think we're stuck here for a sec.
Sorry. Again, Kathy will let you catch up on that.
Sure.
So what I wanted to do with this next slide you'll see in a moment is going back to the three elements that, so first we saw purpose, now it's the description of your business. And we did hear that in this video. And they described who they are. Let's stop there. I'm sorry, I did miss that. So now that we listened to the DuPont, we heard the statement of purpose. What is the problem? What is the solution? Kathy, we can look at the next
Okay,
element of
thank you.
week one of the boot camp. Description of the business. We heard that in DuPont, didn't we? Who are we? Validated expertise. And I said, why you? But in this case, why DuPont? So description of business. They did it beautifully within less than a minute. And finally, we're getting through this rather quickly. So now we're stepping away from the DuPont with the statement of purpose to describe the company. But the last thing I was asked to speak to today was location. And when I first saw that in preparing these slides, I'm thinking, you know, how does location apply to those of us that don't have brick and mortar? But let's look at this for a bit. And I've discovered, and frankly, I had to do some research on this. Kathy, if you could flip to the next slide, I'd appreciate it. So I think the challenge with the boot camp is how important is location. So think of this way. I don't know, Diana, if a brick and mortar is in the future. Yes, it is. Okay. Do you want to just mention that for a moment? What your idea is about the location, because you are going to be a brick and mortar.
So I'm a cosmetologist. I have been for 11 years. Not as intriguing as your guys' business plans, but it's something I'm passionate about. And over that time, I've learned that instead of going about beauty services and enhancements in a manner from almost like a health and medical standpoint, we just tend to cover up issues instead of fixing the root of the problem and then adding the beauty factor to it. My business is going to be a health and wellness focused nail salon and beauty lounge. I'll start out just as nails mainly, and I plan to grow over the years. And I also want to create my own nail polish and lacquer line. Hopefully I will be able to find a brick and mortar place in the downtown area. I'd like to be centrally located and want a very diverse clientele. I feel like that is also something that I'm passionate about, and it's lacking in this in Erie in particular, and then just across the nation in general. I feel like you see, the owners of these businesses have been very one-sided for a long time.
Thank you. What a great example of how we heard the location. In your case, Diana, your signage, your space, your traffic, your storefront is so important to you, where you're located, if you're in the proper demographic and so forth. So when we think of the importance of location, right there, the brick and mortar and location is everything. The other is attracting talent. And I know that there was a panel session this morning that we talked about talent acquisition. And so where you locate your company can be important to you finding talent to come on board. They could be an independent contractor, it could be a full-time employee. And I think that we heard this morning in one of the panel discussions was with COVID, sort of all the rules have changed. You don't necessarily have to be in a cubicle side by side with another employee. So location can be remote. And we're all sort of trained by COVID to be more acclimated to a remote online sort of business environment. So location might not be that important. And I think we all read about what Microsoft and Amazon is doing in Apple and so forth, and location all of a sudden might be important for warehousing and distribution, but as far as admin offices and things like that, maybe not so important. But you have to also looking at location is what your occupancy, because Diana is going to be important to you. You're going to find the right location, you're going to have the signage, you're going to look for traffic and so forth, but occupancy cost is going to be important to you also. So one of the elements of thinking through location, and then accessibility, and you mentioned that perfectly.
Mhm.
So those are my 3 items that I was asked to do in week 1. Kathy, you can go on to the next.
Sure.
Any questions that I can answer, even amongst yourselves? Jeremy, if you have any ideas, please.
So, from a whole business plan standpoint, if someone were to fit the business plan, what's one of the main things that would make your eyes pop, that make you, really look more into it? Because, I'm sure some people's business plan, it's either too bland, some people try to put too much. What's like the happy medium for something that's gonna make a possible investor, a partner go, okay, like, I like this idea, I'll like the part of it.
So a question to me,
Yeah.
right? And I'm going to make sure I'm answering the right question here. So what would make, in my view, what do I think makes a business plan pop and gets your attention? So let's assume that we're through with the idea, like the idea, right? And I think it's intriguing. I want to learn more. So now you're giving me your business plan, right? And so what makes it pop for me? What's the first thing I might look at, or what's sort of where I sit on with the business plan? Is that
Yes.
me? It's your team. Number 1. And I'll go real deep on team. I want to know where you spent your life. I want to know who your partner's on, who your advisors on, and so forth. So that's sort of where I settle on. And I might just go right to team if it's a structured presentation like this is. So just know that when you do team, do it right and go deep with that. Brad, I know you've had lots of experience with this. Do you want to add up to that, please?
The other highlight is to have your aggregate numbers down, have it sourced. So you got your massive numbers about, on an annual basis, this amount of money is spent on this problem. Right, those kind of things are massive upfront, bottom line upfront statements. So get your aggregate data, right? And it could be, if you're doing a nail salon, that there's so many of these that violate, code every year, and I'm gonna have the cleanest, most safe place, or there are very few minority nail product R&D locations, because that sounds like something you want to do as you grow your business. So I want to be one of the first in the region, but nationally, there's only 1% of the industry. That's an aggregate number, and that's a wow factor. So bottom line, in front of a big data piece to go with the team, because risk and liability is always, is your team going to be stable over time? And then are you solving a problem or a big problem? So you want the aggregate bottom line up front number to really wow people as well. So you got a big tidal wave of data saying you are addressing a massive problem. You got a team that's going to endure to solve that problem.
Wow, Jeremy, there you go. We get 2 completely different answers. What makes it pop? But what's interesting is that's your challenge then, right? If you're presenting your business plan publicly, I might be listening for team. You have somebody listen for data and research. If you don't have me on data and research, I'm out. Someone else, and Bridge sort of in the economics as well. How do you make money with this thing? What are your costs? That's all I care, especially if you're coming to me as an investor. So the challenge is when you present your business plan, so you're going to have different perspectives, different folks listening for different things. Great, thank you, Brad, for that. Yes, Jeremiah.
Question. So when I developed my business plan, I actually subsequently went to the business model canvas just to make it more concise about what message I was trying to convey and what value my business offered as far as communicating with different stakeholders. At one point, I was talking to people who I wanted to bring on potentially and just trying to make it more concise to them. I was speaking to a GMBA 799 class who was trying to understand my idea. And then eventually I was speaking to potential financial investors. So what is the right of, I guess, to what length should you make your business plan? How comprehensive should it be to make sure that you're leaving room for questions maybe, but you're still allowing people to grasp your concepts?
Yeah, great question. Great question. And I know Brad has something to do. I'm going to reach under here.
Oh,
I'll probably
I'm so
coming
sorry.
right into the camera, but I want to show something. So what's the length of the business plan? And I would answer this, and Brad, I want you to jump in if you would please at this and see what I've missed. I think it first depends on the audience. If your business plan is sort of a pitch for investors, and you know this, Jeremiah, I think we've had some conversations about this, it could be 10 slides, lots of white space, maybe sort of like this. And that could be the essence of your business plan, because you know who your audience is and what are these items that they want popped. I've wrote lots of business plans, and a lot of them have been this thick. This one happens to be a 26-page executive summary, okay? So, thank you.
Mhm.
That could be okay for a brain dump early on. You know, get all your notebooks and got pages and pages of stuff scattered all over the place. But when you begin to present that business plan, I know that I've done one with a 2-page business plan. There's a lot to be Googled, searched on what the length of that business plan could be. The shorter, the better, as far as I'm concerned. I don't know if I've answered your question, but Brad, if you don't mind jump in, maybe you can help out.
Yeah, there used to be a philosophy, you win your investors by the inches of your plan, right? And I think you're right, it's gone the other direction. People want quality over quantity when it comes to a business plan. So each paragraph has to be well-researched, well-thought through. And it has to be lean and mean, but it's gotta be absolutely full of good research to really substantiate each section. So it becomes a very powerful, it could be, 3 to 5 pages, and each paragraph has an enormous amount of information that you've done work on that really highlights where you're at and where you want to go. If you lay that out with enormous amount of research and it evidences a lot of work on behalf of your business, it can be lean, and I think that's where it's all going. And people don't want thick anymore. The people looking at your business plan are, like everybody nowadays, super busy. So the lean, actionable, research supported, and people will take it lean and full of quality all day long versus quantity.
Yeah, good points. And one thing is, Brad is talking, I've done the big thick. I've given it to investors or those who I'm trying to entice to be on my board of directors, advisors. I've handed them a pretty extensive, lots of tabs that look nice. None of them read it. None of them read it. So all they wanted to do is get face to face with me, right? Let things pop in a short presentation because they're all time constrained. And I used to do this, say, I'm here, and especially if we know like tonight, we have an hour presentation. So we're gonna stay on time. We're gonna have a hard stop at the top of the hour, you can say. And Jeremiah, that also dictates then, do you go through a lengthy business plan? So handing it out, I really haven't seen that work. But when you're presenting it, try to present it face to face. And what you can do then is be mindful of your time, always leave 20 minutes. And you can do this, flash in front of them and say, I have all this data behind what you're seeing here today. I'd be happy to share any of this with you. And you'll have it. It could be your spreadsheets, it could be your research, it's your beta testing and so forth. So just have that, and they'll have the confidence then that there's more to it than the 6 slides that you're showing. Does that make sense, Jeremiah?
Yeah, can I answer my question? Sure.
Thank you.
I did have one more question. After you construct your initial business plan, or maybe lean business canvas model, how often do you go back and edit that after you already made the initial one? Because it is sometimes, like you said, it could be 26 pages or exceed that. So how much do you go back and revise that?
Wow, great question. I've rarely gone back and revised my plan, because if it's a decent plan that you really fleshed out, right, and you're proud of it and you shared it with others, and it's pretty spot on. Even with intake with ETI, we'll show our business plan to Brad and your team and so forth. So once it gets to kind of a final document, although it should be flexible and fluid, I found that the work to learn and adjust from it is off the business plan itself. I've only gone back to it and rewritten it if I have to present it publicly. Because my brain is going, oh, I need to do margins and make it pretty and visuals and all that, and yet get substance to it. And my brain has a hard time with that. So if I need to show it publicly, I'll change it. But if I don't, it's off the business plan. So it's almost, Jeremiah, it's kind of like it served its purpose. If I've reached the goals of attracting the talent, attracting the partners, attracting the money. And then when you start breaking it out in marketing strategies and advertising and promotion and so forth, it doesn't find itself back to the business plan unless it goes public. Brad, would you agree or?
Would you then transition to more of a strategic plan
rather than in using the business plan as your anchor and then going with the strategic plan for your 3 to 5 years or however long you wanted your strategic plan to be?
Perfect. Yes, there you go. So a strategic plan, which is operable in action, a market, we're developing a marketing strategy right now. We're about to engage SBDC with this help. So you're right. It then becomes a strategy and usually internal,
Mhm.
a marketing strategy,
Right.
advertising and promotion and things like that. But that's a great point, Kathy. Thank you for that. Yes, Jeremy.
I remember earlier you were saying, a lot of people share their business plan publicly. So, what are some of the main things people miss before they do share it publicly? Because say if someone had a business that wasn't, either copyrighted or didn't have anything like the legality of it, what's stopping from someone else from taking that idea and saying, oh, okay, I just kind of zuckerberg your idea and took it. I mean,
Yeah, I don't, some people are fans of Shark Tank and some are not, but if you like it, and I do like it, there's some good gems and you can learn from it. That happens a lot, what you just said, Jeremy.
Yeah.
And when they're challenged and saying they're gonna squash you like a bug, Mr. Wonderful would say. Can you ask that in another way? I wanna make sure I answer that unless that was just an observation you're making, but
so like, I was basically asking like, what are like the legal steps that you could take to protect your business plan? Because I'm sure a lot of people just throw their ideas out there, and I'm sure like a lot of ideas either get taken
Got
or
it.
tweaked, and then boom, you're kind of out of luck.
yeah, great question. I think Kathy can correct me. I'm hoping that follows up in the next few weeks that are coming.
Correct.
Because I know they're going to talk about competition, threats to the business and so forth, but make sure you ask that question. That's a really good one.
I wrote it down.
I like that.
Mhm.
What's the legal threat to your business, either on patents,
It is,
copyrights, and things
yes.
like that?
That is one that's
Great.
later on.
Yes.
Yeah, because the biggest thing that got me was, I watched The Social Network, the movie about Mark Zuckerberg, for the first time, like a month ago. And then I remember he was working with the Wozniak twins and the other guys, and they're like, they keep emailing Mark, they're like, are you still working on that code? He's like, oh yeah, I'm still working on it. But in reality, he's working on Facebook behind their backs. And I just thought that was really, interesting because a lot of people can have these ideas and you might share it through one person, especially people that are good at coding, you share it through one, they're like, okay, I didn't sign any agreements, so now I have the capital, I have your idea, it's not legal yet, it's not an entity, so now I can just take it. So that's why with my business plan, I haven't shared it with a lot of people because I know it's something that could work. I just don't want the wrong person to get it and just kind of cut me out of it.
Well, Brad, I know we're all thinking Kathy as well. We have right in the incubator itself. You're so excited up front, Jeremy, just like you're saying, okay? And now it's starting to get serious because you are going to introduce it to others. You might even bring in a partner, a co-founder or somebody. So you're wondering about an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. What does that really protect you with, okay? I one time was thinking about getting a patent on a method. Fortunately, I did speak with Jonathan De Silva, who's in the incubator, and he said, that's a dumb idea. He said, you might be able to get a patent on a method. It's really hard. It's going to cost you a lot of money, but then defending it is going to be costly. So yeah, I hope that comes out big because that's really important. Brad, you might want to speak to the non-disclosure agreements and how someone might get in trouble early on if they don't pay attention to.
Yeah, I mean, it may seem like overkill, but you never know when you're giving away your business. So you're better being cautious and both by email when you're setting up meetings and making sure you get a signed non-disclosure under their nose before sharing your idea. And that's really important just to safeguard yourself. Some of the things that I think you brought up a really good point, but it goes back to a point Dave made earlier. Sometimes the simplest thing matters. So this is, if you follow my line of thinking, I love Dave's idea of getting a second opinion on your business plan, right? That's very important to make sure what you're emphasizing in the business plan is very clear and very crisp and captures the important things that's going on in your journey, right? But if you have intellectual property in your business plan, you better not be handing that around without non-disclosures and emails identifying what you're going to be bringing to the meeting. You gotta nail down details as you walk through those earlier steps. It's very important, and even a second opinion on your business plan to see what should and shouldn't go into that document is important to go through, just to make sure you have a real structured approach until you have your intellectual property.
Diana, that may be important to you as well, because there's lots of competition there for hair salons and so forth. So you may have something unique and different. And so you beginning to go public with it, you might feel a little fearful and vulnerable.
Initially, especially when I got into the cohort, because they're, you know, you don't, every member cohort is local. And, you know, people talk. So I was worried at first, but I feel like I'm trying to be confident.
Good for you. Yeah, that's I love your word, Jeremy, pop. That pops for me too, the confidence, right? I'm not afraid. I'm going to go out and boldly, and I'm going to do it right despite the competition. Now that's where you got to go to the reality check to make sure it's just not pie in the sky and you're sort of believing in your own magic. But going out bold and confidently after you go through the reality check and make sure it's a go. Yes.
Speaking of that confidence, and this is, I mean, we're all experiencing this now, obviously, because of the pandemic, but how do you what would you suggest telling someone like myself who's trying to start a brick and mortar, but, you know, we've experienced the closures and the restrictions due to the pandemic, because that's the biggest the scariest thing for me right now is this even the best thing that I should be doing?
Jeremy, you have your hands up. Let's go. Yeah, I love it.
So the biggest thing I've seen during this pandemic is, like you said, a lot of brick and mortars have closed down. A lot of them are finding themselves losing value. They were thought like e-commerce, like possibly like selling your product online to an online store, because then you cut costs of rent. You know, while you're at home in your apartment, you can really just ship it from your house, and that's what you don't have to pay. You know, your renting costs. Social media is essentially free. Facebook ads, it's $10 running for a week. You can really pick every market, because you want to dominate any market you can afford anything, right? So it's like $10 to do a Facebook ad, and that ad runs over Facebook and Instagram. And on top of that, you have Google ads as well. And then obviously, since you're local, if you're obviously hearing your idea sounds really nice, and then if you get good reviews, then your product is the first thing to pop up when people type in cosmetics and things like that. So I remember you were talking about you want to do like your nail polish thing like that.
Right. No, I thought about that. I just don't want to lose the creativity part. Like, I like doing the actual service. At one point in time, I was thinking, I could go mobile, because right now, okay, we're in the green and we're open, and I'm currently still working at my spot. But there's times when we see people that aren't comfortable coming in. So I thought, okay, I can take it mobile, but I can't take it mobile if we get, if a complete shutdown happens, because then I risk losing my licensure.
I would utilize that service if you were mobile.
You know what?
I think I just have to persevere, just roll with the punches.
Yeah, this is a difficult right now because of COVID, right? And you are very intimate with your clients, and I think you just told me before we started here that you even have some apprehension to get that close with whatever you're doing. And so with COVID, don't know how long it's going to be, what life's going to be like for salons like you want to start going forward. So there's a big challenge for you. And I would just encourage you to just keep surrounding it, listening. Jeremy's offered some really good points, just asking people questions, ask. And I love the fact that you haven't quit your job. It's done part-time. That was very smart on your part. So just keep at it. You got the dream. And maybe you go e-commerce, maybe you go away from brick and mortar and so forth. So be open, learn, adjust, be willing to pivot early on before it's going to cost you much.
Another big thing was pandemic, since everyone's online, you have to look at the influencer market. So you can find someone that's has 20,000 followers on Instagram. They can have your product, you have your followers. So ideally, if getting more engagement on social media is ideal in this time, because it's really cost efficient. So if you find a TikToker that gets 50,000 views a video, you're like, hey, here's one free product of my thing. Could you put that in TikTok? Then you have people that are realizing they're ready for brand recognition. And once they do that, that TikTok, that influencer stuff that connects with you, then you can say, okay, now my store's open now. But you always want to stay popular until you can get there.
You know, what I like about this discussion is that we're early on in the creation of a business plan. And you guys are talking about that. You're already starting to flesh out ideas and challenging where you are and being flexible and fluid and so forth. So this is exactly what's so important right now. So Diane, I would encourage you to do, I mean, Jeremy, you come up with some great questions. So the brain trust, you know, just sort of think about creating that brain trust that Thomas Edison had, Henry Ford had, that Rockefellers had and so forth. I mean, and they were well established and on their way, so continue to do that. I know we only have a couple minutes left. Kathy, should we close?
Yes, and are you assigning homework, Mr. Cullen?
Okay, you're stumping me, but let me come up with something.
The homework is you need to work on the first 3 sections of your business plan, or if you have a draft of your business plan or the early stages of a business plan, go back and look at it and evaluate it, right? Look at it from the standpoint of what Dave said, right? Is it just a whole bunch of fluff words because you want it to be as long as possible, or is it short, sweet, to the point? That would be lucrative, that would be advantageous, and inviting for someone to go, oh my gosh, look at this. It's grabbing me right in. So that will be your homework, and I will email you Dave's email address out to everybody, and I will also be sending out the presentation. But if you have questions, oh my gosh, Dave, you know, this is my ideas, but I am stumped on that statement of purpose. It is like a brick wall and I can't go under it, over it, or through it right now. This is my stumping point. You know, that's what this whole business plan bootcamp is about, is to help you get out of your stuck points and get you to the end of 8 weeks, a really good business plan.
Perfect. Get you stuck and don't be intimidated by us. So hopefully as you go through this, we'll all break it down. So it's some action, like something you can take that's tangible. That's not this dreadful thing, as we saw earlier, that ends up in a dumpster. So Kathy, thank you for
You're
that.
so welcome.
So appreciate it very much.
Yeah, no.
Thanks.
Dave, thank you
All right,
very much
thanks,
for
everybody.
imparting all your wisdom, and thank you for being so interactive, everybody. Thank you to those that were online. I promise on December 2nd, our technology is going to be way better. I will not have a webinar right in front, and I will make sure that all of our systems are working. As a reminder, I will be sending out the link for the rest of the boot camp, so everyone that came tonight will have that. But on December 2nd at 6 o'clock, here and online, is going to be Professor Kurt Hirsch from Gannon is going to be talking about market and competitive analysis, and that also touches on the intellectual properties.
Yeah, don't miss that.
Yep, so that's a keeper. So thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.